This channel officially has a Discord server. Feel free to join. Link in the description. Hello everyone, this is Witchy Words, the podcast about the manga and hopefully anime Majo Taisen War of the Greedy Witches. It is a new month, which means we will be covering a brand new round. Round 2 up the game certainly compared to round 1. Will round 3 be able to continue that momentum? Spoiler, yes it is. I haven't read this chapter or this fight in a very long time, but I do remember it being extremely good. Joan of Arc is officially the winner, and she sees everybody praising her, and she's so excited and happy, and then she passes the absolute fuck out. It's okay, performance anxiety happens, and Tomoe Gozen is like, oh, she's just exhausted, which, understandable, it was a pretty hectic fight. Tomoe Gozen knows that Joan of Arc is her next opponent, but she doesn't fear her. She's ready. She's just like, alright, when the time comes, I'll fight you. I don't care. Kisco Ria's prediction on who would win was wrong, and she is really happy about this. She is so happy and shocked by this turn of events that she has to make a new rank, specifically for Joan of Arc, the Zayn rank, which means she is both the strongest and the weakest. And she is losing her fucking mind. She is pointing at faces, she is pinching people's faces, and she is like, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen in my goddamn life. How are you not excited about this? And everyone is like, it's just you. You're just kind of crazy about this whole thing. And Agradbat Malat brings Joan of Arc directly in front of her and was like, hey, good job. You did it. Proud of you and all that, honey. But I got a question for you. And then she kind of just ties up Joan of Arc and sort of thorny vines. She peeks inside Joan of Arc's mind and was like, are you the one who will bring me and get me what I want? And Joan of Arc's mind is kind of overflown with images of demons in the apocalypse and all of that. And Agrabah Malad is like, oh wow, you really resonated with me and helped me like sort of see my desires. I wasn't really expecting that, but it's like, hey, you know, you're real interesting. You're the protagonist and all that, so keep up the good work. You're interesting. I'll see you later. And then we flash into the medical area, and then we get another demon, a demon of healing, Bubble, Booble, whatever the hell. I'm gonna call her Bubble. Bubble tells Joan of Arc that, hey, you know, you can fight as much as you want. It doesn't matter how injured you get, that they can fix them, that you can fight to your utmost desire. And Bubble is very happy. He's very happy about this. She starts twirling and clutching herself and is like, oh my god, I'm gonna get so many patients. And Joan of Arc's like, you're a weird bitch. They then talk about the witch's odds, sort of a gambling aspect to the whole tournament, which is interesting. I do like this sort of new twist on it, saying that, hey, you know, you're going to bet your life on the witches. If your witch wins, you will get reincarnated into a better life. If you don't, then tough shit. You're going to be like, I don't know, a squirrel that gets killed by a Shiba Inu or something. They say that the next fight is between two favorites, and one of the servant demons is sort of like, yo, I'm trying to, like, your entrance is soon, knocking on a door, walks in and sees a whole bunch of, they're not pentagrams, for lack of a better term, they're like transmutation circles, magic drawings all over the room, and it is Queen Himiko. And Himiko's like, hey, you know, I'm a win. I got this. You know, it's not a big deal. And she asks the servant, do you think I'm going to win? Do you believe that I am going to win? We then cut back to the witch we were introduced to earlier, Cleopatra. So Cleopatra knows that Himiko is her opponent and just hopes that Himiko is worthy of her love. Baby, don't hurt me no more. But because all of her guides fall in love with her and pretty much she has to kill them, she's like, man, where the hell am I? She's lost. No one's guiding her. She's kind of just walking around the arena like, I don't know what the hell's going on. The witches' odds are number 1 and number 4. I believe Cleopatra is number 1 and Himiko is number 4. So the fight kind of needs an introduction, so she begins introducing both the fighters. She starts by introducing Himiko, stating that she is the one who was able to stop the great rebellion of Wakoku. Yes, hopefully I said that right. She is said to be Japan's very first ruler, and I thought the first ruler was Jimmu, but you know, I don't know the history of Japan all too well, to be honest. But people in the crowd that are rooting for her are like, hey, please come back safe, like, please, I don't want you to die. And then Himiko's like, bitch, I know what I'm doing, I'll win, it's no problem. Now, entering from the west, she's like, oh, this ancient Egyptian ruler, she's so beautiful, and where the hell is she? Because Cleopatra does not come out when the doors open. She's not sure where she is, because the poor girl got lost. No guide was able to really help her, so she didn't know where the hell to go. And so she comes in being carried by a bunch of dudes from the audience. Pretty much that she has complete control over men, and that they are all leading her down to the arena for her to fight. But she's sort of overwhelmed by everybody's love, and so she's like, I can't make it down like this. And so she gets up, uses some poor bastard's head, and just jumps off, and it just lands in the arena. Cleopatra the 7th. And Queen Himiko is like, oh, so you're like the most beautiful woman ever? Let me get a look at this. And she kind of looks over Cleopatra and is like, yeah, you're not really my type. And Himiko's like, well, more so, I'm kind of cuter than you are. And the whole crowd's like, what the fuck? You're not cuter than Cleopatra? How dare you? That's like, everyone gets so mad. And then Cleopatra's like, oh, thou art cuter? And Himiko's like, yeah. And so Cleopatra then summons like a giant snake and is like, oh, so I guess you must be worthy of my love. Can you give me true love? And we get Cleopatra's magic vestments, Aphrodite, Moira, beauty to court the hand of fate. That is the name of her magic vestment. And Joan of Arc's like, oh my god, she's so pretty. And Himiko isn't honestly all that phased. Everyone's like sort of freaking out, and Himiko doesn't really care. And then Himiko comes out with her own magic vestments with a much cooler name, Oni Miku of the Land of the Rising Sun. Badass name. Honestly, I think it's better than Cleopatra's by a long shot. The crowd sort of observes that she seems like an Oni, which is Japanese for demon. And right as the announcer says B for begin, Himiko teleports behind you and is right behind Cleopatra, but Cleopatra manages to fend off Himiko's strike. But Himiko just laughs and keeps going, and just keeps going over and over and over again. And the announcer's like, I haven't given the signal, but they don't care. They're just gonna keep going, and they just keep fighting, saying Himiko makes a brutal ambush, just keeps on striking, and Cleopatra just manages to actually just keep blocking. She's managing to stop Himiko. But Cleopatra is not able to dodge Himiko's third strike, and Himiko scratches Cleopatra's face, and everyone is like, oh my god, they cut her perfect face. Let me just say this, okay? My opinion. If you think a woman is no longer beautiful because she has a scar on her face, maybe you're just weak. That's just me. Maybe you're just weak, because face scars are badass. I don't know if this whole, oh my god, she has a scar on her face, her beauty's ruined. It's like, bro, grow the fuck up. Face scars are awesome. But Cleopatra responds by saying, quote-unquote, twist, and touches Himiko's arm. And Himiko's arm, in an extremely painful-looking attempt, just starts twisting itself and just crushing itself all the way, and it just keeps going up towards Himiko's torso. But Himiko is forced to cut off her own arm in order to prevent the twisting from reaching her torso. She lops off her own arm, and Cleopatra is somewhat impressed by Himiko's escape. Cleopatra then says that, hey, that happened because her magic is a seductive touch. It then goes into her backstory, talking about how when Julius Caesar came to her, intending to conquer Egypt, she pretty much was able to, with her beauty, persuade him, or not even really persuade him. She slaps the shit out of him. She slaps his fucking head and is then like, just give me Rome. And he's like, all right, yeah. So pretty much her ability to just get whatever she wants. And Cleopatra explains that she wished for Himiko's body to twist, so it did. Pretty much, I'm not going to say it's a sort of a telekinesis ability because she didn't affect Himiko's mind. Himiko was able to cut off her own arm, but essentially making it so that whoever she touches, her body, or their body, sort of just reacts in the way that Cleopatra wants it to. Himiko's body began to twist because Cleopatra told it to. Himiko then sort of binds her arm and just looks at Cleopatra and be like, oh, okay. Yeah, you're gonna lose 100%. And then they go back to fighting, but this time Himiko is much more on the defensive, and Cleopatra opens up Himiko's torso, or goes through like a big slice, but Himiko manages to dodge, and with her foot is able to grab one of the blades that was on the ground since she cut off her own arm and swing it at Cleopatra's face. But Cleopatra just grabs it. She just grabs the blade and says, melt. And then the blade begins to melt. I guess her ability doesn't just work on organic tissue and people, it works on inanimate objects as well. And the blade begins to melt, and Himiko lets go because, she doesn't want to get affected by the melt. That would be quite unfortunate to lose both your leg and your arm within maybe the first 45 seconds of this fight. But Himiko is clever. The blade that Cleopatra blocked by grabbing had poison on it. So when Cleopatra grabbed the poison, it entered her bloodstream and poisoned her. But then Cleopatra just tells the poison, just go away. Just go. And then the poison leaves her body. The poison just leaves her body. And Himiko literally stares at Cleopatra smiling and just goes, really? Like, really? Really, bitch? Really? So, Lilith and Lilim are like, wow, this is a really, impressive magic. I guess, there's nothing that can defeat her. And, Kiskill is like, no, she can be defeated. There's no magic that is perfect. But, it really is an extremely powerful magic, and she's wondering, how can this be defeated? It's possible to be defeated, but she's wondering what magic would be able to do it. Cleopatra's like, I guess you're just not worthy of my love. Whatever, let's end this. And Himiko's like, oh no, that's impossible. It's like, it's not possible that the poison was enough to kill you. Himiko then declares that it's her magic, and then she pretty much just throws her blade up and tosses it, and just stands there completely defenseless, and just opens and invites Cleopatra to attack her, which Cleopatra does. Cleopatra goes in, and Himiko ends up grabbing Cleopatra's arm, and then Himiko says for Cleopatra's arm to break. And of course, this is Cleopatra's ability, and Himiko is just pretty much asking, like, what if the enemy has the same magic as you do? And then Himiko points at Cleopatra's arm and is like, see, it broke. And Cleopatra's like, no, it didn't. And then she looks at it, and holy shit, her arm is broken. And Himiko declares herself the most powerful witch alive. Himiko declares that she has wish-granting magic, and that it's sort of the same magic as Cleopatra. They then ask Kiskill, like, hey, how is this possible? How does one witch have the same magic as another. And Kiss Kill is really upset because she has no goddamn idea. And Kiss Kill is like, there may be like similar magic, but like it can't work the same way because it's like that's impossible. Each witch has its own unique magic. And the only way for that to happen is if they have the same desire. Himiko then begins to explain how jealous she is of Cleopatra, that Cleopatra had all of these wonderful things in her life. And then they start having a slap fight. Essentially, they start trying to hit each other, specifically with their right hands, in order to activate her ability. And Himiko sees an opening and kicks Cleopatra. And Himiko's right hand goes in to strike Cleopatra, and she grabs her, and pretty much nothing happens. To everyone's shock, nothing happens. And Cleopatra says, if you have the same magic as my mistress, you're just as greedy as her, but that's not possible. She straight up just says that Himiko is a liar. Cleopatra has figured out Himiko's trick, and Himiko's magic is that if Himiko tells a lie and somebody believes it, then it turns into the truth. And Himiko is like, all right, yeah, you're right. You win. I give up. It's like, hey, go, you know what? Since I lose, you can just go ahead and kill me. And Cleopatra begins to approach, but Himiko activates her, for lack of a better term, her unicorn horn thing that came out and shoots a knife directly at Cleopatra's head, but Cleopatra just stops it and says, tear it up, and rips apart the blade and goes in and grabs Himiko by the neck and tells her that your lies, they aren't going to work anymore. We then get into Himiko's backstory, where I may be misinterpreting this, but from what I've gathered, it says Himiko's dad was an oracle who asked Himiko about the weather, and Himiko tells him what she thinks is going to happen. It doesn't happen, and because it doesn't happen, they think that it's Himiko's dad's fault that it didn't happen. They think, that he's responsible. He's the reason that there wasn't a lot of rain, even though that's obviously something that is out of control. There is an oracle that led the village and said that this was the case, and sort of everyone believed her, and Himiko and her mom were forced to go into a cave, even though Himiko, not our Himiko, but the Himiko Oracle before, who ruled the village, said that they could come back. And Himiko's like, I don't want to go back. Like, everyone is a liar. Everyone, like, they're all stupid. They're going to trust her for no reason. And Himiko's even own mom, or our Himiko's, I gotta clarify, our Himiko's own mom believes in the Oracle, Himiko, and that Himiko's Himiko's mom ends up dying, and Himiko's like, she doesn't believe in gods. She hates oracles who don't know anything, and that she dares the gods to try and stop her, and that the sky is the only thing she can learn from. And in the neighboring village, a fire erupts, and I believe it was caused by Himiko. In my opinion, I think she started the fire, and she broke into the old oracle's house, and pretty much says, you have all these nice things, but too bad. And Himiko is like, you're a liar, and Himiko kills the original oracle, Himiko, and burns the old oracle Himiko's house down. And our Himiko steps out and is like, listen, just now the old Himiko obeyed the will of the gods, and sacrificed herself. And that's obviously a lie, but the people believe it. And saying that the old Himiko passed the moniker on to her, Yogi. This is so hard to explain. The old Himiko passed her moniker onto our Himiko, so now our Himiko, formerly known as Yogi, is now Himiko. Okay? That's how it happened. And she can she says she can prove that this is true by putting out the fire. And because Himiko knows that it's going to rain, she says, I'm going to put out the fire. It starts raining, puts out the fire, and everyone's like, oh my god, Himiko really is a prophet. Holy shit. And Cleopatra pretty much still has Himiko by the throat and is like, alright, let's finish this fight. And then, who comes from behind? It's Himiko. While holding up Himiko, Cleopatra's holding up Himiko, another Himiko, comes in from behind and is like, yo. And she fucking just stabs Cleopatra. Just right through, sort of like, just below the ribs, or in between the ribs, just stabs Cleopatra. So, there's two Himikos, one is being held up, and the other Himiko stabs her, Cleopatra, through the ribs. And everyone's like, what is going on? And it turns out Himiko, there's two of them, and that she tricked Cleopatra. Cleopatra then drops the Himiko that she was holding, grabs onto the other Himiko's blade, and kicks her away. And she's able to knock down both Himikos. Everyone is sort of confused, but Cleopatra seems to get it. That if people believe Himiko's lies, they become true. So Himiko says that she casted a spell. The Himiko that came in says she casted a spell, and that the demon that came to get her to fight was the Himiko that Cleopatra was fighting this entire time, sort of just disguising her and giving her the abilities of Himiko, the real Himiko, to make it seem like it was the real Himiko fighting, but it wasn't. It was the demon. She tricked the demon into being Himiko by convincing the demon that by walking into the room, the demon had activated a spell that would turn her into Himiko, and the demon believed it, therefore making her Himiko. So now we have the new Himiko, or I guess original Himiko. Now she's fully healthy because she wasn't fighting, and Cleopatra has a sword through her, and then Cleopatra's like, okay, this is kind of awesome. I think I can love you now. The reason being, Cleopatra sees that Himiko is putting in so much effort to fight her. She's putting in so much effort to give Cleopatra like a good fight that Cleopatra's like, oh, I feel desired, I feel loved by Himiko. And Himiko is like, okay, that's kind of weird. And Cleopatra tells her, Cleopatra does this awesome thing with the sword where she takes it out and she draws a heart in the air with her own blood, and they're ready to go. So Cleopatra and Himiko both go charging in, and Cleopatra is ignoring the knockdown fake Himiko because, you know, she wants to fight the real Himiko, and they keep going at it, and they're like, oh, Cleopatra doesn't stand a chance. She's pretty much gravely injured. It's over. And then Cleopatra, with her limp-ass arms, just smacks the hell out of Himiko, and Himiko is sort of just knocked. She's just like, oh god, oh wow, like it really just it rocked her, it fucked up her world, and Cleopatra says, hey, you know, to be loved by you is great. You're the one that made this happen. I really appreciate all of this. And so she grabs sort of the dazed and confused Himiko and says, I want your love and says, "Blast it." And a fucking hole gets like, boom, it just explodes into Himiko's chest. And Cleopatra holds her and thanks her. But then, double plot twist. The Himiko with the hole in her chest that she just killed reverts back into the demon. Which means... which means that the Himiko that was fighting before comes back and stabs Cleopatra in the chest, killing her. So, let me explain to you how this happens. So, Himiko comes out of the arena. Cleopatra enters. Cleopatra beats Himiko, essentially. Then, quote-unquote real Himiko comes out and explains that the Himiko that first came in was a clone. That wasn't actually her, it was the demon disguised as Himiko. So then, Cleopatra then targets the new Himiko, who says that she is the real Himiko, that the old Himiko was just the demon in disguise. But that was also a lie. So, the Himiko that came in to save the original Himiko was actually the real... Oh my god, it's so hard to explain. Himiko comes in and essentially lies. The original Himiko that came out was the real original Himiko. It was a lie that the Himiko that came in was the real Himiko. It was all a lie. It was all a double twist just to get Cleopatra to target the new Himiko, who said that she was the real Himiko, but she wasn't the real Himiko. The real Himiko was the original Himiko that originally came out. It's really difficult to explain with words. But it's an awesome twist that I remember when I first read it, it blew my mind. It was an insanely clever twist. And Cleopatra asks before she dies, "Hey, let me just feel your face, because I love you so much." And everyone's like, "Yo, don't let her feel your face. She's going to kill you." But Himiko doesn't care. She lets Cleopatra touch her, and it's like, "I trust you. You're great. I love you, Himiko." And Himiko's like, "I love you too. Do you believe that I love you?" And I guess she might, or she might not, because Cleopatra calls her a liar, and then Cleopatra disappears, making the winner Himiko. Holy shit. Now, I'll admit, I probably did a terrible job explaining the ending, explaining the Himiko double body switch fake out, but I recommend you read this manga yourself, because I can't do the twist justice. Like, you're just gonna have to read it from the perspective of the manga, because it's much easier to follow along with all of the images, and I think this is a great fight. Do I like it more than round 2? I don't know, because this fight is great, but it's great in a different way. It's great psychologically. Round 2 was great with the choreography and the fighting and the visuals of that, but round 3 was a much smarter round. It was a round that made you think a lot more. I love rounds like that. I love getting pulled back and forth along with the characters as Himiko drags us along with all of the lies. So I fully appreciated this fight, and I'm looking forward to the next one. And I don't know if it will be able to... the next fight will be able to live up to round 2's choreography or round 3's mental gymnastics. So I feel bad for the next round, because it's got a lot to live up to.